Okay, so this is 5.1b, same thing, using the fundamental, which that had an error in it. Nobody in here said anything. We found it 6th period. But this sentence didn't even make any sense. It just said the fundamental trig identities to verify identities. It was missing the word using, kind of a critical word there. Anyway, there's the assignment. Again, it's on the Google Calendar. It's on the sheet that you just got, so you have that in multiple places. Okay. Let's look at, oh, it did have this. This is in your book. Guidelines for verifying trig identities. Again, not necessarily straightforward rules in how to solve these, but just some guidelines of what to look for. So again, work with each side of the equation independently of the other side. Start with the more complicated side. Transform it step by step until it looks like the other side. That's one way of going about these. Analyze the identity, looking for ways to apply the fundamental identities, so the ones that we've already had, that one slide that I had yesterday that had kind of the review of the identities from the last chapter. Okay, seeing if you can figure out a way to get those in there. Okay, try using one or more of the following techniques. Rewrite the more complicated side in terms of sines and cosines. So we talked about that yesterday. That's one method to use, is get everything down to sines and cosines. Factor out the greatest common factor. That was an example we did yesterday. Separate a single fraction into two fractions. That was an example that we did yesterday. You know what Mackenzie was just asking about, can you separate a numerator through addition or subtraction? Not a denominator, but a numerator. Combine fractional expressions using the least common denominator. So get an LCD and add them together. Multiply the numerator and denominator by a binomial factor that appears on the other side of the identity. That one's kind of, that's not real apparent, the fact that you do that. So that one's a little bit out there. Okay. Don't be afraid to stop and start over again if you're not getting anywhere. Sometimes dead ends. So there was one today that I started and I just said, no, that's not going anywhere. That's just going to be more complicated. So we erased that and took a different track. Sometimes you'll have to do that. Okay? So these are some of the guidelines, basically the things that we talked about yesterday, but just kind of in one place. And again, this list is in your book. So, okay? These are 5.1 notes. Yeah, this is just the second part of them. Okay? And so you can look at this somewhere else. Okay? This one, the only difference with this one is the whole odd-even. And do you see why I'm even looking at that? Because we have something being, we have a negative inside of something we're taking a trig function of. So that's why you would look at the odd-even thing with this one.
This is kind of related to the subject, but last night I tried to look at the PowerPoint off of the website, the Google Docs thing, and it's all funky, like the things are
on top of each other. And
on top of each other, and so I don't know.
Last night, I don't know what time you were looking at it, so it may not have been there, but last night I was working on this. And I got an email from a friend who's a Google certified teacher down in Visalia, and I was asking him how is there another way, because like Janae was in the other day trying to print, because she didn't get all the notes, she was trying to print the PowerPoint. I thought you could do it from the way I was posting it, but it's hard. So I asked him, how can I do that? And so the last two, except that Mondays I don't think I save the slides to where the order comes in. But anyway, the last two slide presentations on the page of the school website, or the class website, has a link above it now. And if you click on that link, then it takes you to a full screen version of the presentation. And down at the bottom there's a menu, and I don't remember what it is now. Actions? Yeah. And one of the actions is print. So you could print the slides if you wanted to, and there's options there. You could print 1 per page, or 4 per page, or 8 per page, or whatever you can see on a page. And so you could print the slides. Okay? Now I know the question's coming, so I need to head it off. Not that I've thought it through, but well, can I just print the slides and put those in my notebook and turn in my notebook that way? Well, the purpose of notes is for you to be involved in class, to be writing things down, again, as another way of learning the process of writing out the notes. And so that's kind of the point of doing that, in addition to some other reasons, but I'll still think about that one. So, okay?
With that, like,
So you did see that?
I did.
I already had that up there? Okay.
And you can make it to like full screen and everything.
They're still ugly.
It's still.
Okay, I didn't go through them and look at them, so.
Like the numbers are out of place, so it's kind of
Okay. That process is happening when I export out of Keynote into PowerPoint and then uploading the PowerPoint. And so I'm not sure how to solve that one right now, but I'll work on that. Okay. So you understand the difference here? The fact, I'm not, just the thing that you would look for is the whole odd-even thing here. Then we're changing them all to sines and cosines and working with them from there. Okay, so nothing majorly new there other than looking at the odd-even thing. What would you do with this one?
Couldn't you multiply like a -1 to the bottom on top of the 1 minus cosine? Or the other side?
That wouldn't necessarily change it to the other one. I would just cross multiply to get a common denominator again. So you get that denominator. So you multiply, basically you're cross multiplying to get a common denominator. And then simplify things, just add the numerators together and so on. I was thinking that my last example here had something new. That one's still going. I was working with both sides. So here's something a little bit new, cross-multiplying across the equal sign. We haven't necessarily done that yet, and it kind of goes against the rules that I put up there on the first slide, that you're working with the sides independently. But you're cross-multiplying here to come up with sine squared and then 1 minus cosine. That's just an identity, so that one drops right out. But okay. Okay, so that's all I had. So everybody get a copy of that sheet? Again, all that's on the Google Calendar. It's not like you can't find that anywhere else, but just so you had it in print form. Okay?
Here are those review assignments. They're both done.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.